Raya and Sakina, one of the most famous Egyptian personalities. In the early part of the last century, their names were Raya and Sakina Ali Hammam. They were displaced at the beginning of their lives from Upper Egypt to Beni Suef to Kafr el-Zayyat. They settled in the city of Alexandria. In the early 20th century, they formed a gang that kidnapped and killed women. In partnership with Muhammad Abdel Al, Sakina's husband, who started her life as a prostitute, and according to God Saeed Mare, Raya's husband, and two others, Arabi Hassan and Abdel Razek Yosef, were arrested. They were executed on December 21 and 22, 1921. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new. A story that terrified all women, not only in Egypt, but also outside Egypt. It is one of the strangest stories of two eccentric women living in Alexandria escaping from Kafr el-Zayyat due to the many suspicions around them. The first is Raya and the second is Sakina. The events of these incidents took place in the 20s, when their work was to kill women after drugging them, then steal their jewelry and bury them in the land of the house in which they lived. The first victim is Zainab Abu al-Layl, 25 years old. This was the first report submitted by Zainab, Nazla's mother, who was visiting her and did not see her. She mentioned that she knew that she was visiting two women, Raya and Sakina, followed by another report from Mahmoud Morsi about his sister, Zanuba, and also mentioned the name of Raya and Sakina in the report. Suspicion arose about them. Then a 15-year-old girl reported the absence of her mother, Zanuba, and she also mentioned in the communication, Sakina, followed by a report from Hassan el-Shina'i about the disappearance of his wife, Nabewaya, and Alexandria became in the biography of the kidnapping of women, and after a short period, Muhammad Ahmed Ramadan submitted a report about the disappearance of his adult wife, Fatima. He is 50 years old, and here this man mentioned that his wife had original gold. Then the governor of Alexandria noticed that behind the kidnapping of these women was the theft of gold in their possession. Reports continued, and the women kidnapped Yazid, and another report came from a Syrian merchant about the loss of his 12-year-old daughter, then a report from a Sudanese woman about the loss of her daughter, Firdaus, who owns a large gold jewelry. Any evidence and the reference to all these crimes was the report from a soldier during his patrol that he found the body of a woman in the street and the presence of her bones, hair and a white veil. The owner of the house, and it was found that he belongs to a man named Muhammad al-Samna, and the latter rents the houses for his own account. Upon investigation, it was found that Raya and Sakina had resided in this house, specifically Sakina, where she was expelled from the house due to the appearance of the original owner of the house, and she had done the impossible to return to this house, but the neighbors were fed up with her behavior and the men who frequent her with suspicious women. Then the department officer thought of investigating the emergence of this strong evidence and went to the room where Raya was living and began digging. They had 3 years through her husband, but her husband hated them because he suspected that there was a relationship between him and his wife and that they were taking the room and bringing women with them, and both Arabi and Abdel Razek were summoned and interrogated, and when the bodies were revealed, they were for Firdaus, Zanuba, and Amina, and when revealing the houses that were inhabited by Raya and Sakina, it was found that the rest of the bodies were present, and their number reached 17, and upon confessing the crimes, Abdlal, the husband, Sakina, said that he was in harsh conditions, and he was forced to marry his brother's widow, Sakina, and he refused, and it was found that he married the biggest butcher. Upon confessing the crimes, Sakina's husband Abdel said what he had and that he was in harsh conditions and he was forced to marry his brother's widow Sakina, and he did not refuse. It turned out that he had married the biggest thug. Intoxicated, Abdel killed her and then stole her jewelry. Arabi and Abdel Razek took over the burial process, and each of them confessed about the other until the investigation was completed. The main criminals were Sakina, Raya, Abdel Hasabe Allah, Arabi, and Abdel Razek. They were executed on December 21 to 22, 1921, as was the prison for the goldsmith who was buying gold from them. With the execution of the biggest serial killers in Alexandria, this case was closed and the most heinous crimes were closed with it, but the horror that it caused did not end, and for a long time, the people were afraid to live near these houses where the bodies were found until they were all buried.